You're all aware that we had a 3-day meeting of our party central committee on the 29th, 30th and 31st of October. And this press communique is on the basis of the deliberations we had in the meeting. At the outset, the first thing is the central committee expressed its deep condolences at the collapse of the suspension bridge in Morbi in Gujarat. And 140 plus have already been announced as dead. Many more are injured. And we hope that proper treatment is provided to them in order to save these lives. But when the hospital should have been focused on providing treatment to those who are injured, it has now been busy the whole of today in getting spruced up for the visit of the Prime Minister. And in that sense, the attention which had to be paid to treating the injured is being diverted, which is most unfortunate, and with a trace of inhumanism in it. Reportedly, this bridge was opened without a safety audit. The number of people to be allowed on the bridge at any point of time was breached with more than double or three times the number permitted. And it's a ticketed entry, and the tickets were sold. And it was the renovation was done by a company that produces clocks, wall clocks, not in terms of technically whether it's competent to look after this bridge or not. Now, this is the sort of a thing that is recurring in our country under the Modi government. You had the Bundelkhand Expressway. With great fanfare, the Prime Minister inaugurated. 5 days after that, sections of the expressway caved in. So you have the sort of contracts that are being given, to whom they are being given, what is the competence of it. These are matters of serious concern because they are claiming lives of innocent people. So the Central Committee demands that there should be a judicial inquiry into this accident, and accountability must be fixed, and punishment according to law must be meted out. The second issue that we're concerned was our grave concern over the manner in which center-state relations are being undermined, and this process is continuing with the governors in various states, particularly the opposition-ruled states, acting to advance the agenda of the ruling BJP at the center. We've seen this happen in the past with various governors in states where that had no BJP state government. Now this has come to the fore again with the Kerala governor, first asking vice chancellors to resign because he is also the chancellor. As a chancellor, the chancellor doesn't have the right, according to the acts passed by the Kerala Legislative Assembly that govern these universities. He has no right to ask for the recall of any vice chancellor. As a governor, he went on to ask for the withdrawal or removal of the finance minister, and he said that he withdraws his pleasure of having appointed him. Under the Constitution, he's got no such right. That right is a right under the Constitution given to the Chief Minister to decide on the ministers of the cabinet. And the governor has to appoint that. Is under the constitutional mandate to go by the advice of the Council of Ministers and the Chief Minister. So in both the cases, it doesn't have the authority. But targeting the higher education system in Kerala, we believe is got a political objective. And that political objective is what we have seen the BJP doing with its new education policy of controlling the institution of higher education in order to rewrite Indian history, in order to reshape the consciousness and thinking of our people in an unscientific manner, and assaulting scientific temper and rationality, which is the hallmark of all the high institutes of higher education. the targeting of JNU, the targeting of Central University at Hyderabad, the targeting even of the Banaras Hindu University, apart from the Central Universities of Aligarh and Jamia Millia, and the IITs in various parts of the country, are all part of this exercise to restructure higher education system in India to suit the propagation of the Hindutva ideology. Now, this is a very, very serious matter because it actually not merely distorts Indian history, but it actually gives a level of consciousness to our youngsters, which is bereft of scientific temper, which is therefore prone to growth of obscurantism, to superstition, and to blind faith, which suits the Hindutva ideology. So this is a larger fight which the CPIM decided we have to engage in. Now it's happened also the way, the manner in which the governor is behaving in Tamil Nadu, the entire state government and the ruling Secular Democratic Alliance, Secular Front government there, has actually come out very strongly against what the governor is doing. We have seen the governor's actions earlier in Maharashtra, where when an elected government was toppled, an alternate government was being elected, the governor was distributing sweets for the alternate government. So these sort of, many of these governors are actually sitting on the bills and legislations approved by the legislature, state legislature, without either approving them by signing them or returning them. If they don't agree with that legislation that the assembly has passed, they can return it back with their suggestion, saying why they are not approving it. But they don't do that either. So they leave all the legislations passed by the state assemblies in a limbo. Now that is a very serious problem because the state governments, elected state governments, cannot carry out their mandate of being elected by the people of the state. Therefore, the Central Committee decided that we will appeal to all the secular democratic parties, particularly the parties that run state governments, to come together, rally together on this issue of the role of the governors and how these parties must come together in order to resist this attack on federalism that is being mounted by the central government, central BJP government. And these attacks on federalism are also beyond the role of the governors. You've seen the Prime Minister now talk of one country, one police uniform. Now, law and order is a state subject, according to the Constitution. Police is directly under the state government, except in union territories like Delhi, where it's under the central government, Home Ministry. So to say that one country, one police uniform is actually encroaching on the rights of the states. Now these sort of things that are taking place today and destabilize elected governments. Huge amounts of money were offered to MLAs ruling Telangana Rashtra Samiti MLAs in Telangana in order to defect and join the BJP. We have seen this happen in the past, how democracy is destroyed. BJP loses the election but forms the government. Goa, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, and subsequently in the northeast a number of places, then later in Maharashtra. Now this sort of a toppling game using the money, central agencies, etc., this is destroying democracy. So against all this, we are approaching, have begun approaching the secular democratic parties that run state governments to come together and take a unified position to resist these assaults on federalism and the states' rights. Then the third issue that we discussed was the very, very sad, sorry, and dismal state of the Indian economy. For 3 times, the World Bank has lowered the forecast for FY23, that is 22-23. It has brought it down from 8.7% to 6.5%. Our own RBI has brought it down from 7.8 to 7.2 to now 7%. Industrial growth. Prime Minister talks of India being the world's industrial hub, manufacturing hub. That's what he claimed 2 days ago. And what is the industrial thing? It is industrial growth is at an 18-month low. Our core sectors, 8 core sectors, which is the core of our industry and manufacturing, grew at 9.8% compared to 19.4% last year. That is when the COVID impact was still there. Even from there's been a big downslide. The rupee has crashed. Foreign exchange reserves have dwindled. Your trade deficit is widening at a record level. So in all parameters, the Indian economy is fast plunging into a recession. While this has a long-term, very disastrous impact, even in the short term, it is having a very big impact on people's livelihood. Your unemployment has reached a record height of 7.8% during the festive period. Normally, this is the period when employment rises. There are lots of informal work, formal work, lots of production that takes place. But during this festive period, from Dasara Diwali onwards till the Chhat yesterday, the employment fell. And when the employment is falling, during this year, the central government refused to increase funds for the Rega scheme. Net result is 1.5 crore people. 15 million people were turned back and refused work. Prime Minister, Finance Minister say the Manrega is demand driven. If people ask for jobs, we will give them. But then 1.5 crore till October this year. Till March now, 23, let us see how many more will go. But even last year, they were, refused, 1.73 crores were refused work. 2.1 were refused work in the year before. Unemployment is growing. Rega, that is the only source of, some source of livelihood. For that, the funds are being curtailed. This, we think, is absolutely inhuman. And on top of this situation comes your price rise. 9 months in a row, the price rise has breached the RBI limit of 6%. And this is putting great burdens on people's livelihoods. So we shall see the Central Committee has given a call for the entire party all over the country, is there under the CC call, to organize protest actions all over the country on these issues at the local level and to strengthen the struggles from below, from the grassroots level, to culminate in what the workers, the Kisans and the agricultural labour unions have given a call to the march to Parliament during the budget session. And that will be the big mobilization of the country's working people against these policies that are ruining their lives. So along with these issues, the Central Committee also decided that we will call for the broadest mobilization of secular forces against this communal polarization that is sharpening. All the election campaigns of our Prime Minister, that is preceded by either the Prime Minister's visit to Kedarnath to offer puja or to Ayodhya to do at the makeshift temple a puja, or like we have seen in the new Parliament building, the national symbol that was opened up with a Hindu religious ritual. The entire effort is to say that India is already a Hindutva state. The state is performing its religious activities, and this is complete violation of our constitutional foundations. Now, apart from this, the instances of targeting minorities and the gruesome thing what we saw in Kheda in Gujarat, where Muslim youth were publicly beaten and flogged by policemen in plain clothes. Now, this sort of incidents of targeted attack against the minorities, this is becoming a regular practice, which is absolutely destroying the country's unity and integrity. So as against this, the CPIM will take the initiative, speak to all the secular opposition parties to do something jointly in order to maintain communal harmony, maintain the constitutional values of democratic, secular democracy, and for that joint activities will be undertaken. Likewise, the Central Committee also decided that it's been 3 years now since the state of Jammu and Kashmir was dissolved. Its special status was withdrawn. And all the claims that the central government is making about economic development or peace or reduction in terrorist violence have all turned out to be just propaganda. And the reality is completely to the opposite. The targeted killings of Kashmiri Pandits and the laborers, the migrants who come in from outside of J&K, this is on the rise. So this is something needs to be done about this. So the CPIM will initiate along with the left parties discussions with the secular parties both in the Jammu and Kashmir and outside in order to build up a joint pressure on the central government to take tangible actions for providing relief to the people in the state who are still continue to be denied of the democratic rights, civil liberties, and also the basic rights as citizens of India. In the forthcoming assembly elections, CPM has fielding 11 candidates in Himachal Pradesh and will support one candidate, the only one that the CPI is fielding there. And in the rest of the 56 constituencies out of the 68, the CPM and the left will work for the defeat of the BJP. In every constituency, the force that can defeat the BJP, that will receive our support. So that will be the major focus. And in Gujarat, since the since this election commission has chosen to de-link the announcement of the schedules, giving BJP and the Prime Minister more time to inaugurate and to do campaigns before the model code of conduct kicks in Gujarat. Even till today, Prime Minister is still announcing new schemes, new projects, and many of the central schemes he is announcing as his personal gifts, Diwali gifts to the people of Gujarat, using state funds, which is completely unethical and unbecoming. But anyway, given this entire thing, since the dates have not been, schedule has not been announced, we are in talks with the other secular forces with the objective of maximizing the pooling of anti-BJP vote. The Central Committee hailed the victory of Lula in Brazil, very tight contest, but the left has won, which is a very, very positive development in Latin America, because Brazil now joins, apart from socialist Cuba, Brazil now joins Chile, Bolivia, Colombia, Peru, Honduras, and others who have a left-oriented presidents. So there is an anti-neoliberal, anti-US imperialist tide that is sweeping in Latin America, which is of good sense that this counters the trend in Europe and elsewhere of a right-wing offensive. The victory of the political right in Italy, and ominously, this lady of Italy was sworn in as a Prime Minister exactly 100 years. Exactly 100 years after, to the date, after Mussolini marches with his stormtroopers on Rome and captures power. 100 years later, you have the fascist, coalition is coming back in Italy. You have that right-wing change in Sweden. So as a counter to all this, the left-wing shifts in Latin America, that will provide the resistance, the impetus for the resistance of the right-wing offensive. The Central Committee unanimously elected Comrade M.V. Govindan, State Secretary of the Kerala unit of CPIM, to the Politburo. And as I said earlier, we've given these concrete calls for protest actions all over the country, support to the joint actions, calls given by the trade unions, the Kisan Sabhas and the agricultural labor unions, and to focus on forcing the central government to release more funds for Manrega so that at least people have some basis for some livelihood and hunger and poverty do not increase even further in the country. So these are some of the major decisions that we have taken.